A little ahead of him, it must be said, at welterweight, Tony Doherty. He's been doing it all right so far, 22 years of age. He lost to Ali Numbembe in the Commonwealth Games before he turned pro. That was 2 years ago, but as the record shows, he's done it all right so far as a pro. And in the other corner, Belaid Yahiaoui, a Frenchman with a record which really doesn't compare, but only stopped twice and out to make Doherty do some work here tonight. Round 3.
Third round. Tony Doherty, very fast out, but Belaid Yahiaoui doesn't want to go anywhere just yet. Doherty looks for the body again. Is it time to step up the gas, increase the tempo?
That's exactly what's required, and as I say, walk across, step across the Yahiaoui, box him into corners where you can pin him. This is more positive stuff now from Doherty.
Hasn't been stopped, Yahiaoui, since December 2001, and before that, January 98. So this is a stubborn, resilient type.
He still has a fresh look about himself. He doesn't look worn out as though he's been in too many wars. Starting to try and come forward now. I thought that would have been a fair little pool in Glasgow, I think.
Centre of the ring now, Doherty, backing Yahiaoui up.
See, this is more like pressure now. Yahiaoui has been pushed out of his stride now, made to work. Not quite so happy looking.
Got a bit of height and weight advantage too, Yahiaoui on Doherty. Oh, elbow going in. Howard Foster might have a word there, he does.
I think that's the first signs of frustration from Doherty there. I don't think he was too happy taking the counter. I think his pride was stung. But that was a bit messy. Wild right hand in, the elbow following through.
Fast jab of Doherty. Was in the Commonwealth Games representing Wales. Lost on a cut to Ali Numbembe. As a professional, everything has gone fairly well to date.
See, this is a big change from the journeyman circuit that he's been on. And this is good for his future career. He's having to think his way around here, having to think about his defence as well as his attack. And I really do feel he's going to learn something here.
Big swiping left hand from Yahiaoui, who's come with a little bit of ambition, despite the record.
Yep, just see now and again, he has a little burst just to remind Doherty that he's still interested, but he's not working regularly enough, he's not sustaining any work.
Coming up to almost 2 years as a professional, Tony Doherty, who turned in witness May 2003 with a flashy exhibition against Carl Taylor, the journeyman, and he's starting to unleash a little more fury now on Belaid Yahiaoui. One thing, Jim, that the critics have been saying about Doherty is he looks older than 22 in the ring, that he seems more experienced, he fights more like a rounded professional. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I think obviously, even in his amateur days, he's obviously been sparring with pros and he's developed a nice professional style, but nothing wrong with that. But he's trying the jab. Now he's trying to, but he's not working off the jab. He's throwing single jabs and it's as though he doesn't quite know how to follow it up. This fellow is awkward, he's cagey, but I'd like to see him throwing the jab but working off it, maybe doubling up or right and then finish with the left hook. Just put punches together a bit more, put this fellow under some more pressure.
Tiny little scratchy mark on the forehead of Tony Doherty. Heads have come close. Pretty rugged at times here.
Well, when the match was made and I saw Yahiaoui's record, I'll be honest, I wasn't too excited, wasn't really looking forward to it, but yeah, it's a decent little match. He knows what he's doing and he's posing plenty of problems.
Yeah, that left hook nearly got through. Huge reach he's got, Yahiaoui. Only one stoppage on his slate, 7 on Doherty's. The Welshman, the puncher in there.
See, Yahiaoui's actually drawing Doherty's leads now. This is where he has to be careful. You can see Yahiaoui, his eyes, he's staring at Doherty, just waiting for the leads to come. He wants to counter. So this is where Doherty's lack of experience maybe could cause him to make some mistakes. Good little spell from Yahiaoui at the moment.
Jab, doubling up with the left hook to the body, just maybe straight a touch low. They show each other respect.
I think there may have been a little clash of heads there. I thought the heads came together as well. But it's been sporting. Yahiaoui trying to come forward now. He's confident, hasn't been dented, he hasn't won too much yet, but still a bit of confidence there.
Here's the final round. Tony Doherty aiming for his 14th straight win in what's been an eventful match with Belaid Yahiaoui, and possibly, Jim, the most interesting one so far in his career.
Yeah, well, he's never had to work so hard. He's never been posed so many different problems in the one fight. I think he's coped with everything well. There's been a couple of shows of maybe lack of experience, but this is the only way you learn is through the experiences. This is what he's getting here. But see, he's missing with punches that normally land. This fellow's so good at little half step back, just as Doherty's set to do something. So often he's broke his concentration with that. So there it is, that little half step back. You see Doherty shuffling, ready to do something. Back goes Yahiaoui.
But Jim, what about those who said he should get rid of this guy very quickly and really show us he's that exciting a prospect?
No, well, the fact that Yahiaoui hasn't been stopped for 4 years almost, and he's losing fights, I mean, that shows that he's got the character to go the distance when things are going against him. He's not easy to stop. There's nothing wrong with that. And since the first round I've had a look at him, I like the look of him straight away. Now, this was always going to be tough. The only slight problem, I would say, is for me, Doherty has lost his way a little bit in the last couple of rounds of the fight. This fella has stopped him really doing anything constructive. And in the 7th round, I scored it against Doherty because he wasn't allowed to do anything. But again, he's not frustrated, he's not doing silly things. The fight's in the bag, so he's just working along nicely with that in mind.
Not been a razor-sharp display from Tony Doherty. Those tasty combinations that we've seen him use against some of the British journeymen. Hasn't been able to land those type of shots. Has had to tough it out a bit at times.
You know, I think this is the kind of opponent you would like to see Doherty have another maybe 6 or 7 fights, then bring this fellow back. Then you can gauge the improvement, because this fella won't change much. He'll be doing pretty much as he's doing here, and it will show the improvement in Doherty. But this, nevertheless, is a decent win on his card.
And at 22, no rush.
Yep, loads of time, loads of time. And people may say there didn't seem to be any snap in his punches tonight. It's because this fella wasn't showing any target. How many times have we seen Yahiaoui caught cleanly on the chin? Almost never.
Decent 24 minutes. Tony Doherty does indeed remain unbeaten. 14 out of 14, but a big hug and huge respect to Belaid Yahiaoui and his father Fatah in the corner from Tony Doherty, and that tells you something.
Yeah, it certainly does. A mutual respect there. Well, it's nice to see Doherty to really work for something, because that's what the business is all about. When he steps up in levels, I mean, we know he's only 22, loads of time in his hands, but this is a fight that'll do him a lot of good and no harm whatsoever.
Educational night's work for Tony Doherty.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 8 rounds of boxing, referee Howard Foster has scored the contest for Yahiaoui 73 points, for Doherty 79 points. Your winner, he remains undefeated from Pontypool, Tony the Doherty.
Why did that turn out to be hard work for Doherty?
I totally agree with Jim. It's the best thing for him. Even though he may have looked at Yahiaoui's record and thought he's only won 6 out of 23 fights, he may have underestimated him because he didn't seem lively, he didn't seem snappy. But it was the best thing for him, because then he had to think about how he was going to get rid of such an awkward opponent.